Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It's a matter of immense pleasure for me that I am sharing this specific bit of information with you. This information pertains to the queries and questions which I have received from my non-Kashmiri friends in particular, and many other friends who don't reside within our vicinity, who reside in other districts of Kashmir. And most of our friends, they are non-Kashmiri friends. Basically, they have seen some videos about the Zool festival, about the Fro festival, which is going to be celebrated today here in my hometown of Aishmuqam. And majority of those people are asking me about the genesis, about the cause of celebrating this Zool or Fro festival. So basically, this Fro or Zool festival, it is celebrated in the entire Lidar Valley and most particularly in the township of Aishmuqam. This my township of Aishmuqam, it is around about 16 to 18 kilometers away from the main district headquarters of Anantnag, which is also known as Islamabad. This Aishmuqam township is famous as a Sufi abode, as a Rishi abode, because one of the patron saints of Kashmiri Rishism, Hazrat Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullah Alayhi by name, he is resting here. His shrine and mausoleum lies here upon a hillock inside a cave in Aishmuqam. People generally link this Fro or Zool festival, which means lighting of the fire torches in the dim of the night. People often link this Fro festival with Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullah Alayhi. But let me clear this misconception that Fro or Zool festival as such has nothing to do with the Urs or the date of demise of our patron saint Sakhi Zainuddin Wali. This Fro or Zool festival, it is basically that people in the adjacent areas, they assemble together and just light the fire torches. They light the torches which are made of the birch wood, of the pine, of the wood fragments gained from pine trees, and it is that very wood which is burned in the form of a torch, and people assemble with their fire torches upon the hillocks in the vicinity of the mausoleum of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali, and thus they have a celebration of this lighting of fire. So far as linking this Fro festival with Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullahi Alayhi is concerned, you must know that Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullahi Alayhi's Urs, or his date of departure from the world, it is 12 Wahak. Wahak is one of the Kashmiri months, or you can say it is one of the Bikrami months, one of the months of the Bikrami calendar. And Bikrami calendar or Indian, this calendar, it has many months, like it has Jet, it has Asad, it has Phagun, it has Mag, it has Wahak. And Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullah Alayhi's date of demise, it is generally depicted as 12 Wahak. And that 12 Wahak has passed, I think, 2 months ago. And today, this festival of Fro, it is celebrated in the vicinity of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullah Alayhi's mausoleum. And people consider this very Fro also to be one of the, as an Urs of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali. But having said this thing, that Sakhi Zainuddin Wali's Urs is always celebrated on 12 Wahak, and this year this 12 Wahak was, this 12th was celebrated in the month of Ramadan. So basically, what is the significance of this Fro? If it is not the date of demise or Urs of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali, then why is this Fro or Urs or lighting of these fire torches and bonfires, why is it celebrated in the precincts of the mausoleum of Sakhi Zanuddin Wali? This is the basic question which has been asked. First and foremost, we must see that this throw or lighting of these fire torches, it is basically a peasant festival. You can see even in North India, in Jammu, in the plains of Punjab, in the Indo-Gangetic plains, peasant community often on the advent of spring season, they light fires, they light bonfires. And it is basically a farewell to the winter season, a farewell to the stagnation of the winter season, a farewell to the coldness of winter season, and a welcome to the advent of the spring season. Because spring gives the leaves of life to trees, it gives leaves of life to animals, it gives leaves of life to human beings. The spring provides us many avenues and it provides us many opportunities of working. It gives opportunities to the farmers to sow their seeds. It gives new agrarian opportunities, and that is why peasant community on the advent of the spring, they celebrate this advent of spring. Basically, they celebrate the advent of the agrarian season. They celebrate the advent of this activity. They celebrate the advent of life is spring brings with it, and that is why Lohri is celebrated. Basically, it is a welcome to life, and this life is welcomed by light. And similarly, this is our Kashmiri version. I may not say this Kashmiri version of Lohri, but I may say that this is our Kashmiri version of celebrating the advent of spring. When spring season comes, the peasantry and gentry alike, they assemble in this Lidar Valley and in the adjacent areas of Aishmuqam and within the main town Aishmuqam also. And they light these fire torches. That means that they are celebrating this light leaves of spring by lighting fires. It is an expression of warmth. It is an expression of happiness on the advent of spring, because in agrarian societies, it is the agricultural activity which is most cherished. And people cherish this agrarian activity by welcoming it with the lights in the dim of the darkness. But now the question remains that why this advent of spring is being welcomed by people in the sacred precincts of Hazrat Sakhi Zanuddin Wali. You know that in Kashmir, these Sufi shrines and these dargahs and these ziyaratgahs have always been the hub of cultural activities as well as social activities. Anything, whatever befalls us, God forbid, whether it is a tragedy or if it is it is an occasion of celebration, people used and still used to throng these ziyaratgahs, and in congregations they celebrate and commemorate the events. And when the peasantry, after the advent of Sakhi Zanuddin Wali Rahmatullah here in Aishmuqam, the peasantry thought it worthwhile to celebrate the advent of spring in the compound of Sakhi Zanuddin Wali. Because you know, everywhere in Kashmir, when you see a Sufi shrine, you see a village or a township has developed around about those very mausoleums. And many cultural activities crop up, many social activities crop up there. And in likewise, when we are celebrating of the people of Lidar Valley, when we are celebrating this advent of spring, we Sakhi Zanuddin Wali Rahmatullah Allah's mausoleum provides us an assembling ground where we celebrate the festival of light, and we celebrate in the fond remembrance of our patron saint Hazrat Sakhi Zanuddin Wali Rahmatullah. This is one reason that why people in the Lidar Valley and the adjacent areas, they celebrate this through our Zool festival or this festival of lights. Another reason why this festival of lights is celebrated, some people say that when Sakhi Zanuddin Wali Rahmatullah first came to Aishmuqam, and he went to the hillock where his mausoleum stands right now, and he entered into the cave to meditate there, deeper in the silence of the cave. He first of all, in the dim of the darkness, he lit up a flame and then entered into the cave. There in the cave, he found many snakes which are known as puhur in Kashmiri. He ordered his disciples to fill those snakes or puhur in the baskets, and basket in Kashmiri is known as purge. And he made his disciples to transport those very puhur or snakes to a geographical entity which is far beyond this Pansal or rocky cliffs in the back adjacent to Aishmuqam. And that very geographical location of place is known as Puhur Pajan. Puhur Pajan, where those snakes were transported in pajis, in baskets. And thereupon Sakhi Zainuddin Wali entered into the cave and he remained there for 12 long years in meditation. And he made this cave a khanaka, a Sufi hospice, where disciples used to come there, and he used to enter them into Rishi Tariqa and Sufi Tariqa. And he also used to impart the teachings of Islam to the entire populace of the area. And the entire population of the area, they feel indebted to the personality of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali Rahmatullahi Alayh, that he is the person who came to this Lidar Valley and he made people to enter into the fold of Islamic faith and belief. And that is why when he first came there upon this hillock and lighted the torch, people in fond remembrance and commemoration of the advent of this very patron saint on the soil of Aishmuqam, and in commemoration of his first and foremost his lighting of the spiritual candle there, they always light up these fire candles in the dim of night to commemorate the advent of the patron saint of Aishmuqam, Sakhi Zainuddin Wali, upon their soil. And this is another theory that why people celebrate this festival of lights. And another version of this genesis of the festival of light or show goes like this, that, and it is often mentioned by the old people and the young men alike, and it has, the tradition has passed on as a word of mouth from generation to generation. Basically, this genesis or this cause of celebrating the festival of life, it is basically based on mythology or myth. Myth is not always a myth, but myth is a symbolic expression of some deeper meaning. People always take mythology or myths like lies. Myths are not lies. Myths are the imageries. Myths are the figurative clothing, wherein they clothe some deeper ideas of wisdom. And Hazrat, this is people often say that this Aishmuqam area, it was inhabited by a demon. As I already told you, that there must be no trolling that he is telling the stories of demons. If you believe in demons or not, that is another thing. But this is a myth. But the myth brings a larger point home. That is what we have to see here. This myth is, the Kashmiri mythology is often known in Sanskrit as Dandabarta. And this myth goes on from chronicles to chronicles. For example, there are many myths about Kashmir, about Nil Naga, about Nagas and Pishachas, written in Vitasta Mahatma, written in Nilmata Purana, written in Kalhana's Rajatarangini, written in Zana Charitra, and also thereupon in many Persian books and by many Persian chroniclers. And thus goes the myth that why the Zool festival is celebrated. Basically, people say that the hillock upon which lies the mausoleum of Hazrat Sakhi Zainuddin Wali inside the cave, that cave was developed by a demon. And the very demon always demanded from the entire populace of Aishmuqam, that per day I want human flesh and a basket of bread. Then people, in order to avoid the mass massacres, they prepared one among their own community as a meal for the demon. and that very helpless man had to go to the hillock with a basket full of bread upon his head, and thereupon that very person, along with the basket full of bread, he became lunch or dinner of the demon. One day, the duo, father and the son, father Ashson and son Bhimsan. Maybe this Bhimsan may be the same as the Bhima of the Mahabharata. I don't know whether, or maybe this Bhimsan in our own mythology, he may be a Kashmiri version of the Mahabharata story. I don't know, because it's a myth. But myth being is a larger point home. That is why I am telling you the myth, what people say, what is the genesis behind the Zool festival. An old woman was wailing, and she was sitting upon the staircase of her house. She was wailing and weeping. The father and son duo, Ashton and Bhimsan, happened to visit nearby, and they saw the women wailing. Bhimsan, a young warrior, he said to the old woman, "Why are you wailing?" The old woman replied back that my son has today to be sacrificed for the entire population, and he has to go to the demon with the basket of bread upon his head, and he has to become the meal of the demon. Bhimsan, deeply moved by the tears of the old woman, said to the old woman, "Mother, don't worry. Today I am going to do the duty at the best of your son. I will go instead of him, and I will present myself to the demon as his meal and with the basket full of bread." An old woman just she gave this basket full of bread to Bhimsan, and Bhimsan went to the hillock where the mausoleum currently lies, and Bhimsan fought in the dim of the night with the demon, with the devil. And it is said that for around about a week, the fight, the duel between the demon and the Bhimsan ensued and continued. Eventually, the demon was killed, and Bhimsen raised the victorious voice, and Bhimsen lit the flame of victory upon the hillock. People, seeing that Bhimsen had killed the demon who had been the oppressor of the population, the demon who had done injustice to the population, the demon who had curbed the freedom and who had snatched the freedom of the population, the demon who was an embodiment of injustice, who was an embodiment of oppression, the demon who was the embodiment of jingoism, hooliganism. Bhimsen had killed that very demon. And people lit torches to see whether Bhimsen has actually killed the demon. And in order to commemorate that very victory of Bhimsen upon that very demon, basically this is myth, and it basically means that people always celebrate the victory of righteousness upon wrong. People always celebrate on this day. People celebrate the victory of truth upon falsehood. People celebrate the victory of justice against oppression, and people celebrate the victory of light upon the darkness. And Bhimsen and demon being just figurative characters. Maybe the demon may have been a cruel ruler, and then people, according to their mythological penchant, they took him as a demon. Maybe he may have been a cruel ruler who would have oppressed the local populace. And maybe Bhimsen would have been a warrior, a freedom fighter, a freedom lover, who would have killed the demon for the sake of the entire populace, and people were freed from the occupation of the demon. People were freed from the clutches of the unjust ruler. And that is why people thereupon, right from the antiquity till date, by the word of mouth, the word passed on from generation to generation, that we have to lit up the bonfires in order to celebrate the victory of truth upon injustice, the victory of the light upon the darkness, or at least then they may have given it some sort of Islamization. Like, we are now going to celebrate min zulmati ila nur. We are going to celebrate the victory of light upon the darkness. So this is our cultural paradigm, And later on, since I said that these mausoleums of saints, they provide a space for cultural assemblages. You know, in religious societies, the boundaries of religion and culture deeply intermingle, and people now, in order to celebrate this cultural festivity, whether they are welcoming the advent of spring, or whether they are celebrating the victory of Bhimsan upon the demon, means victory of truth upon the falsehood, draped in a mythological clothing, whatever you may like. People always celebrate this in the vicinity of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali's mausoleum, because there can be no other place to venerate, no other place to celebrate the victory of truth upon falsehood other than the sacred precincts of Hazrat Sakhi Zainuddin Wali. Having said this much, it needs to be seen that this Pro festival or Zool festival or the religion or the festival of lights, it has nothing to do with the Yomi Visal or Urus or date of departure of the saint from the world. That is 12 Wahak, and it has been celebrated. At the most, it is a cultural festivity, it is a peasant festival, and peasants just welcome the advent of the spring. But everything in ethnic society is linked to the religion, and people get an opportunity to celebrate this cultural festivity in the sacred precincts of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali. And people, not only from district Anantnag, but from Srinagar, from Baramulla, from Badgam, from many other places, throng to Aishmuqam to witness this very festival. And that is worthwhile for people that while they are observing this Pro festival, they want the students, we have not, we came to this place to celebrate this Pro festival. Let us pay our side by side, let us pay our obeisance at the shrine of the saint. And that way this Pro festival became linked with the shrine of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali. Otherwise, it has nothing to do with the Urus of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali. But still, it is a cultural festivity, and if cultural festivities too are celebrated according to the broader ethics of Islam, then we must not always cry haram, 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 or it is haram, or it is prohibited. You know that even in traditional Arabian societies, for example, even in Saudi Arabia, they celebrate their national day or they celebrate their tribal day still, with people standing in rows and swords in their hands and dancing. And nobody tells that they are doing something haram. Or for example, during the time of Prophet ﷺ, the Habshis, the Negroes, they used to whirl in the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ, or about the mosque of Prophet ﷺ with swords in their hands, and that was their cultural trait. But Prophet ﷺ never prohibited them to manifest their cultural trait till the time they were performing it within the basic ethical structure and moral structure and the structure of Sharia. That way, if we celebrate the festival of lights, and with this rejoinder, I am taking leave from you. If now we are going to celebrate this festival of lights, that way by welcoming the advent of the spring, because we the majority belong to the peasant community, spring provides new leaves of life and new vistas and opportunities of working. So we celebrate this Pro with this intent, or with the intent that Sakhi Zainuddin, it is the day when Sakhi Zainuddin Wali arrived upon our land, or with this intent that in the bygone days a cruel oppressor was killed by someone who was named as Bhimsan. Whether he existed or not, I don't know. But if it has happened that truth has in the bygone era been successful upon the injustice and oppression, and we are celebrating this victory of truth upon falsehood, and nothing a better place than the precincts of Sakhi Zainuddin Wali to celebrate it. But it is celebrated with this intent in mind, for the sake of Allah, and it is a cultural festivity. Until our cultural festivities are not in antagonism to the basic teachings of Islam, we must not shut up all these things as nonsense. No, they have a deeper cultural and ethnic meaning for us. For everybody has his identification, his language, his culture, and it should be respected. Their festivities too should be respected till the time they are not antagonism to the basic teachings of Islam. And with this reminder, that when we are celebrating this festival of Pro, we must not celebrate it as a mark of the veneration of fire. Then it is the worst kind of shirk. then it is Atash Parasti, then it is fire worship. We must not be like, we must just jump around fire. We must we must just raise chants and slogans in praise of fire. No, that way it is bidah, it is shirk, and it doesn't comply with the teachings of Islam. And similarly, this pro festival, it must be celebrated in a way that there must not be intermingling of sexes and genders. That is, women and men must not intermingle. Just they take this pro festival as an excuse to just obliterate all the boundaries of Sharia. Then it is very much haram, and then it is very much prohibited. But if it is celebrated as an expression of our culture, deep-seated culture, and if it is celebrated as a manifestation of the victory of truth upon darkness, then there is nothing wrong in celebrating it according to our age-old Kashmiri heritage, but provided that the basic teachings of Islam are not violated in any way. Thank you very much. I hope that all those friends and those non-Muslim friends also, and all those friends who don't pertain to this area, but they are not quote unquote like traditional religious students. They are university going people, they are college going people, and they often mock and taunt upon our celebrating Zool as something backward. This is not backwardness or something like this. This is an expression of our ethnicity. This is an expression of our national pride. This is an expression of our heritage. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.